Hey, I'm Jack, and this is Midlife Money, the channel where we talk through the financial decisions that actually matter at this stage of life. No jargon, no shame, no you should have done this 10 years ago. Today, we're talking about something that affects more families than the headlines suggest: estate planning and the new $15 million threshold. Here's what actually matters. As of this year, the federal estate and gift tax exemption sits at $15 million per person, $30 million for married couples using something called portability. This isn't a temporary number on the verge of expiring. A law passed last year made it permanent, and it'll keep climbing a little each year with inflation. If you spent the last few years bracing for that exemption to get cut in half, you can let that worry go. But here's the part that gets lost in the good news. A higher exemption creates a dangerous kind of comfort. The sense that because you're under the threshold, or because you have a will, your family is protected. Let me break this down, because a will controls a lot less than most people assume.
Your assets actually move through one of three channels. First, by contract. That's a named beneficiary on a retirement account or life insurance policy. Second, by title. How an asset is legally owned, like a home held jointly with a spouse. Third, by probate. And that's the only bucket your will actually controls. Most people think of a will as the master document. It's not. It only governs whatever's left over after contracts and titles have already done their job. That distinction matters because of what happens without a plan that accounts for it. Probate, the court-supervised process of distributing your estate, takes close to 20 months on average, and it can consume somewhere between 3 and 7% of your estate's value in fees. On a $1 million estate, that's potentially $30,000 just to have a judge oversee what you could have arranged privately. And it's public record. Anyone can look it up.
So people try to get clever. The most common shortcut I see: gifting a house or other appreciated asset to your kids while you're still alive, thinking you're simplifying things. Real talk for a second. This usually backfires badly. When you gift an asset during your life, your child inherits your original cost basis, what you paid for it decades ago. Sell it later, and they owe capital gains tax on the entire gap between that old number and today's value. Wait until you pass, and the asset gets what's called a step-up in basis, revalued at fair market value the day you die. Sell it the next day, and there's often little or no capital gains tax owed at all. That's one of the most valuable and most overlooked breaks in the entire tax code, and early gifting throws it away. There's a second cost to giving things away too soon, and it's not about taxes at all. It's about control. The moment an asset is in your child's name, it's exposed to their life, not yours. A divorce, a lawsuit, a bad business deal. Your home or your savings can become part of someone else's legal mess. It's not too late to avoid that. It just means thinking about timing differently than your instinct might suggest.
So, what's the better structure? For most families with meaningful assets, it's a properly funded revocable living trust. Think of a will like a bicycle. It'll get you there, but it's exposed, slow, and limited in what it can carry. A trust is more like a well-built vehicle, private, in your control while you're alive, and able to hand things directly to the people you choose the moment you're incapacitated or pass away. No judge required. Here's the catch almost nobody tells you. A trust document by itself does nothing. If you don't actually retitle your home, your brokerage accounts, your business interests into the name of the trust, what's called funding it, that trust is just expensive paperwork sitting in a drawer. The asset stays in your personal name, and it heads straight into probate anyway, trust or no trust. This is the single most common reason a good estate plan fails to work the way it was designed to.
Now, layer the federal exemption back in, because this is where it gets specific to where you live. Even with a $15 million federal exemption, 12 states plus Washington, D.C. run their own estate or inheritance taxes, often with thresholds far lower. New York's exemption is a little over $7 million per person, with a cliff. Go even slightly above it, and the entire estate becomes taxable, not just the excess. Oregon and Massachusetts sit in the $1 to $2 million range. Washington State's exemption is around $2.2 million, with a 20% top rate, the highest in the country. You can be completely exempt federally and still owe a real state tax bill.
At this stage of life, especially if you've moved, own property in more than one state, or are eyeing retirement somewhere new, that gap deserves a second look. A few other things worth your attention while you're at it. If you're married, portability isn't automatic. It has to be formally elected on a timely filed estate tax return after the first spouse passes, even if no tax is owed. Skip it, and you can lose access to millions in exemption you were entitled to. And if you've already done significant gifting in past years under a lower exemption, there's no clawback. The IRS confirmed those gifts stay protected, and you may have more room to give than you think.
Last piece, and it's one people forget entirely. Your digital and financial footprint needs a map, not a mystery. Passwords, account access, powers of attorney, a list of your advisors and key contacts. Put it somewhere your family can actually find it. The kindest thing you can leave behind isn't just money, it's clarity. None of this is legal or tax advice. Every estate is genuinely different, and the details here matter more than almost anywhere else in personal finance. But understanding where you stand and where the gaps actually are is the first step. If this helped clarify things, hit subscribe. Every week we break down one piece of the financial decade that matters most. And if you've already got a trust, take 20 minutes this week and just check, is everything actually titled in its name? That one check alone prevents more heartache than almost anything else we've talked about today.